Welcome back, everyone, to the Billabong Pro Pal now, along with big wave charger Ross Williams. Honored to be in the booth today and calling what we're considering to be yet another historic day, because we've seen some massive waves come under the radar of these guys. A little difficult to find the good ones out there. It's unofficially turned into a big wave event. This is great. You know, these guys are having to compete in waves that's not familiar on the ASP Tour. As we ready for our next round 4 competition here, Brent Simpson obviously battling for CT survival, and John Florence put on a clinic yesterday, and Kai Otten, one of the best waves we've seen surfed here at Chopu, maybe ever, in terms of what he was able to do on the foam ball. What do you make of Kai's performance? Kai's been unbelievable, and we talked about how he has zero fear. On paper, this is probably one of the most exciting heats this morning. I really wanted to watch this one. Brett, John, and Kai had some of the, Brett obviously had a big upset with Parco earlier in this event, so these 3 guys are going to bring it. We just witnessed Gabriel Medina living up to expectations. John Florence, he's always the surfer to watch, whether it be the free surfs or even in competition here. What is it that John Florence does that allows him to be so relaxed, to be so calm in these heavy situations? It's crazy, his technique and skill factor. I mean, what he does on these waves is literally on another level. He just finds that perfect entry. He's so casual, he never panics, and he doesn't hesitate. As we see John Florence, the first to strike, he pulls in, gets cleanly pitted, and he'll kick out. So John Florence, first wave in the exchange up against Kai Otten and Brett Simpson, as we send it down to Rosie Hodge.
You're looking down like that, just going.
Yeah. Hey Gabriel, I mean, on a day like today, scary conditions. How much does fear influence your decisions?
Yeah, it's pretty big out there. Yeah, I just had 2 good ones, like I was looking for the middle ones that you can get deeper, and yeah, it's pretty big out there. I had fun against Kolohe and Bede, and I'm pretty stoked to make it.
And it's finals day today. How aware are you of your rankings and your other competitors?
I don't know. I'm not think about it. I'm just surfing and worried to get my waves, and I don't know. It's so fun out there, I've never surfed waves like this before, and I'm enjoying. And I want to get a good result, of course.
All right, Gabriel, we'll see you in the quarterfinals. Back up to you guys.
Thanks, Rosie. Gabriel Medina, eyes fixed on the horizon as he sees more lines. This swell continuing to fill in, and we're still waiting for numbers on John Florence, but watch this unload.
And today, all day today, Pat, it's going to be, I want everyone to really focus on who puts themselves in a position. All these surfers are highly intellectual. They know where to sit and where to grab these waves. There's only going to be a few of them that really want it. The same as if it were 3 feet. And John is one of these fellows. Look at this right here. All day long, he will be looking to be in that zone to totally knife it. He will look for that perfect spot to take off right there under the ledge and put himself in that position where he will get the maximum amount of tube time. And that is a very understated fact. A lot of these surfers, all of these surfers are scared, but it takes that little bit of extra something to get themselves to get deeper over under the ledge and actually swing under it and take off.
And commitment definitely being awarded the high numbers. 9.43 for John Florence, so the bar is set awfully high. And just so much power unloading early morning. And as we mentioned, we anticipate waves building throughout the day. So 9.43, the barrel barometer set by John Florence. Now Kai Otten and Simpo have to really dig deep and get some serious numbers on the board.
I think a big part of it for John that helps him is his heart rate. If we took his pulse, it's barely there. It's as if he's surfing 3-foot waves. He really does swing around under these huge monster drops as if he does it every single day. In fact, he enjoys it.
6'1", the Hawaiian, so calm in very high consequence. situations, as he illustrated yesterday, and he's doing just that today, putting a 9.43 on the board. It's interesting, after that 5th place finish in Rio, he was immediately on the jet, came to Tahiti, spent a lot of time here. He loves the waves here. As we check in with, yet again, John Florence stalls it up, hits the brakes, and gets the clean exit once again. So 2 back-to-back clean waves. John Florence on the board. Kai Otten, Brett Simpson yet to get their first waves, as we see Simpo. He'll take a look on this medium-sized one, instantly tries to stall it up, not overly deep, and then loses it right at the end.
You can see Brett there just caught an edge as he was exiting that tube, and a bigger wave from Kai Otten.
Kai Otten then gets the lip right on the exit of that.
Well, I tell you what, you can see Kai definitely charges. There's no doubt about that.
That board still tombstoning.
That was a heavy situation, Pat. He barely grabbed a breath of air before that next wave.
Good to see Kai Otten able to get up for that quick breath before that next wave came through. Keep your eyes, and there's Kai. So water safety trying to get to him, and he'll have to take another.
Right there, Kai is pulling for oxygen. He was held down for a long time, ragdolling. Hopefully he didn't connect with the bottom. Take a look at his facial expression. He looks completely coherent, so that's good. And he's going to grab that ski and head back around.
You know, we were talking with Kai on our way out from the contest site yesterday, missing the ski right there, and he said he got the flogging of his life out here. He's definitely paying the price, willing to go incredibly deep. And it just shows you what Chopu can do in a split second. You have the wave of your life, you get that west pole that comes in, and immediately you're in a dire situation.
Well, Kai Otten, as we mentioned, is not afraid. He will give it a good run, and he turned around, to all his credit, and took off on that late one.
Let's look where it went right for John.
John, so smart, getting a quick backup score for that 9.43, and score still about to drop. That's definitely going to put a pretty tricky situation on the rest of the heat. And here's Kai Otten falling from the roof of that wave, trying to connect, just barely does, catch his inside rail, and he can't get that bottom turn in. There he is. He's going to connect with the lip right now. He's actually inside the barrel. Extremely heavy situation right there. That is the last way you want to fall in the wave. Falling backwards always is painful. It really puts you in a bizarre situation underwater. I guarantee he ragdolled. He flipped upside down. And it looks like he's fine now, which is a good sign. I don't see any blood.
Unbelievable. So a rainbow welcoming everyone here on our final day of competition. We hope to complete and go all the way into finals as the swell continues to pump. A beautiful morning, a little rain, but lots of swell. And Kai Otten just getting a little punishment there early on wave number 1. As scores coming in, John Florence had second wave in 8, so he has an 8, 9.43. Both Simpo and Otts are in a combo situation. And we see some waves of consequence continuing to filter through. Let's check in with Pete Mel.
Well, thank you very much, guys. And in the channel, that was a heavy wipeout. I mean, I was right there on it in the channel here. He was extended and literally looked like the lip just took it right on the chops, man. And lucky that I think he's just now coming around, hopping off pretty quickly. He should be all right. But tell you what, I mean, I was just going to kind of talk about the fact that yesterday, Ross, you were talking about the fact that you're getting that draw from the 17, you know, the 17-second stuff or the 15-second stuff, didn't quite have it. Today, we're seeing it. You know, we're actually seeing it. The reef comes down and literally comes into the wave. And that's what we're talking about, that subterranean type of surf. And it's just doing that on the biggest sets. It's pretty amazing to watch and pretty amazing to feel right here in the channel.
Yeah, Pete, John made his first big wave. That drop looked pretty easy. What was the difference between his wave and Kai? And obviously Kai, you know, fell on his heel edge. Did he get in early enough? Well,
I mean, he did. He got hung up a little bit right at the top, and that's where he got extended. And that's just what you can't do. You got to paddle down the face. A lot of times, you know, you paddle as hard as you possibly can, but you're not totally in it. He knew he wasn't totally in it, and he was going to have a late drop there. Whereas John, same thing. He took the first wave of the set too, though. You know, it was like kind of a perfect scenario for him. There wasn't too much draw off the reef. He was just paddled down the thing with like 3 or 4 strokes. His positioning is impeccable. It really is. I mean, he just knows how to sit in that perfect spot. He just nonchalantly turns around and paddles into it with like 3 or 4 strokes. It's pretty amazing what he does, and it's just you can't teach that stuff.
Pete, it's always easy to speculate when you're the armchair quarterback, these waves that are going under these guys, some of the sets. Are there waves that these guys just can't catch no matter where they are?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was going to say, yeah. I mean, there is those waves. They're the biggest ones. You can hear the hoots and whistles going from the channel, and you kind of want to paddle over. But I'll tell you what, these guys are still thinking they can. They'll look at them as best they can, but sometimes it just, you know, you can't get down the face with your 2 arms. Got to use something else.
Hey, Pete, I know it's hectic in the channel, but did you get a chance to look at what size equipment most of the fellows are using?
Yeah, they're on the 6.4s, 6.2s. You know, Kolohe's on a 6.6. I think that's kind of the biggest one is 6.6, and I just don't understand it. But that's the future of big wave riding is you got to ride small boards.
Well, as we pointed out, foam can be your friend. Definitely wanting to get in early on these waves. Scores coming in for Brett Simpson, 2.17, and there is Dion Atkinson up against Owen Wright, Kelly Slater, 4-time champ here, 11-time world champion. You remember back in 2011, Owen Wright and Kelly Slater doing battles in the finals, a massive one. And we can see our own Pete Mel right in the channel getting a great perspective, that thing just spitting all the way out to the flotilla, and another one. And if that sound doesn't send shivers up your spine, nothing will. You can feel it.
It's amazing how loud this wave is. It has so much power. The reason for that, Pat, is all that water drawing off the reef towards these swells coming at it. It's a double whammy. It's twice as much energy. You know, we talk about that no back situation. Literally, it feels like the ocean spilling over on itself like a waterfall. It really cracks when this lip lands in the trough. It's like nothing you've ever heard.
Well, at this point, John Florence doing an unbelievable job getting to work very early, a 9.43, almost a 10. Backs it up with an 8. Priority sits with John Florence. Second in line, Brett Simpson and Kai Otten. Both Kai Otten and Simpson in a combo situation. 17 minutes on the clock here in round 4. Winner goes directly to the quarterfinals. The only saving grace for losing in this round, you do get a second chance.
Get another crack at it. And that could either be a good thing or a bad thing if you're overly nervous. Maybe you're dreading that second run at it. But you know, it's really impressive. John not skipping a beat out here, straight off to a solid lead. And you can tell he's literally enjoying himself. You know, I'm sure he's got a little bit of nerves because it's a heavy situation, but he's relishing.
More lines starting to fill in as we see John Florence with priority. Will he use it on this decent-sized wave? He'll take a look. And John Florence commits. Grabs rail, parks it, stalls beautifully. Massive spit out of the barrel and just relaxed as ever. Makes his way out. Looks out the back, and no takers on the following wave. So John Florence just in that rhythm that we've seen from heat after heat.
I just can't help but to laugh. It's so casual, his approach. He literally waited for that swell to approach, took 3 strokes, and fell down this face. There is so much contour on that face. It's amazing the technique John uses to slide down. Watch as he pushes his weight forward on that front knee. Then he slides his rear end to slow down, just for good measure, making sure he gets the maximum tube time on a 12-foot double up at Chopes. I mean, it's unbelievable. He is actually toying with this wave right now.
So no pulse. John Florence gets his 3rd wave in the exchange. 2012 Rookie of the Year, ended up 4th in 2012. Unbelievable to come into the CT and end up 4th in your rookie season. If that doesn't say how much ability you have, nothing will. And the scores dropping, it will impact John Florence and his score line, looking to ditch an 8. Priority now sits with Brett Simpson, and he remains in the combo situation, as is the case for Kai Otten. Just under 15 minutes on the clock here in Heat 3, Round 4, waiting for one last number. There is 8.73. So now the job for Kai Otten and Brett Simpson, that much more difficult. Can they climb out of the combo situation? We'll find out as the 2014 Billabong Pro Tahiti continues right after this. Stay close. John Florence continues to show his dominance here in Tahiti, dropping 8.73 and a 9.43, leaving Brett Simpson and Kai Ott in a combo situation. So not only is the story about rising to the occasion, it's all about requalifying for Brett Simpson, current 34, and Kai Ott, current 26. For more on that, we send it to the desk. Morning, guys.
Cheers, Pat. Yeah, a very crucial event for Kai Ott and Brett Simpson, this one, and they've already done so well to make it to this point in the draw. Between the number 10 spot and the number 22 spot, there's only 3 surfers that are still alive in the draw. So for all those guys outside of qualification, like Brett and Kai, this is a fantastic opportunity to get back inside the requalification mark heading into the back half of the season. And it's been a tough one for Kai, taking one of the beatings of the contest in this heat.
Oh, absolutely. Requalification is the last thing on their minds right now, absolutely. It's all about survival. But Kai has got a good chance, you know, no one loses in this round, so I can't see him getting past John right now. But Kai, if he can draw an easy heat or a relatively easy heat next and try and get back into the quarters.
You can see him in 26th position there on the ratings, and a lot of the names above him there are already out of the contest. Same goes for Brett Simpson. You look at all those guys ahead of him, you know, only Dion Atkinson and Tiago Perez are alive in the contest still. So great opportunity for those guys outside the bubble. In fact, Strider, when you look at the remaining 12 surfers in the contest, they're so well spread out throughout the contest. So this is going to be one hell of a final day, an important one for those guys trying to requalify, a crucial one for the title contenders. Waves approaching. We'll throw it back to you guys.
Thanks, Ronnie, Strider, Aki, as we just continue to see how much water's drawn off the reef. As Simple will take a look, he'll instantly grab rail, stalls it up. Massive spit on the end of that tube, and Simpo trying to climb his way out of the combo situation, as behind that wave, Kai Otten scrapping into this one. Clean on the bottom turn. He'll drive down the line. Quick tube for Otts. So things starting to get busy at the 11-minute mark, Heat 3, Round 4. Winner of this heat will move directly to quarterfinals, and this is what we like to see, these guys fighting back, Ross.
Beautiful. Just a little less size on this set wave here, a little bit more manageable for Brett. Beautiful style. You can see he got sort of a narrow stance on that backhand attack. You can see him knifing down the face. Could have been maybe just a touch deeper, but you can still, a lot of tube times that thing spits its guts out. Just a testament to how hollow these waves are at Chopu. This is definitely one of the most hollow waves on the planet. You're not going to get a wave that has this much room inside the tube. You could fit a bus through that barrel right there, and Kai Otten blazing with all that speed. I love this front angle. You can see how much tube time he gets behind a curtain, and there's a shotgun spit as he flies out to the shoulder.
Great exchange between Kai Otten and Brett Simpson. In terms of the volume for Kai Otten, obviously a taller individual, 31 on the volume, and a 6'8" board, bringing some size into it.
Yeah, I think it's all about the initial 3 to 4 strokes, getting a little bit of momentum. You can see John on a 6'2". I actually got a text from John Peisel, his shaper, says he's riding a 6'6" out there, so a little bit more length out there as well for John. And for John, that's a big board. And it's all, again, the little bit of length and thickness and volume helps you get momentum to give you that extra speed to slide down that face so that you don't fall on your heel edge like we saw that horrible wipeout earlier from Kai.
There's the aspect of the volume of the board. We talk about wingspan, some of these bigger surfers. Owen Wright, one of the fastest paddlers out there. Has to be a situation for John Florence as well. I mean, we've seen him scrap into some monsters. I don't know how he's able to get out of that ledge and paddle down the face on these.
It really is all about keeping your weight forward. So picture a skateboarder dropping into a half pipe. You'll never see them lean back. If they lean back, they're instantly going to shoot that skateboard forward and fall on their rear end. It's the same thing for a late drop at Chopo. All your energy, weight, momentum has to be leaning forward and down. And guess what? Of course, just like dropping into a half pipe, your mind is fighting that. It's telling you, no, stay back on that ledge. It's a hard thing to do, but you need to keep that weight and everything moving forward.
Turns out John Florence can do both. Rips on a skateboard and can do the same on a surfboard. John Florence, he's gone on record. He's quoted by saying, the reward outweighs the risk when it comes to Chopu. That's an interesting quote. I think that helps us maybe dive into his headspace a little bit better.
That's coming from someone in his early 20s,
yeah.
No doubt, with no scar tissue, so to speak. But, you know, John has so much talent. Like I said, he's actually relishing the moment right now. I don't feel like he's holding back at all, not much fear. Obviously, he respects this wave, but make no mistake about it, he's enjoying himself.
And you love a good debate, especially when it comes to, you know, these mini lists that we come up with. But when you talk about John Florence, arguably best tube rider ever, or is it in this discussion everyone's going to have their favorites?
There's so many ways to slice it up and dissect that conversation. You know, John's a young man, so he has his entire career in front of him, so it's kind of hard to say yes, he's the best ever. But I believe he's definitely on the cutting edge right now. He's showing even guys like Kelly Slater some new moves in terms of backside surfing, and that's a testament.
Simpo's scores dropping 6.5 and a 6.77 for odds. Let's look back at the top waves so far.
So casual. You know, this entire event, John's been the most eager to let go of that rail, showing that's an extra level of difficulty. Extremely hard to not hold on to that safety rail right there. And John, another 8.73, backing up that 9.43, so he is way out in control. There's that horrible wipeout. Kai Otten taking this lip to the right to his forehead. Right? You can see right there, he leans back, getting caught on his heel edge. Horrendous wipeout. So Kai still looking for a solid score to back up his 6.77.